Earth Sunday. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Genesis 1:1. It seems easy enough to read, to utter God and earth in the same sentence. But is it? As a child, I loved the earth. The trees were my friends. I could climb the almond tree among pink and white blossoms in the sunlit deep blue sky. Or, in adventurous mood, the giant willow awash in the strong wind. Or the silver poplar, in whose sturdy protective branches I would settle with a cushion, books and coloured pencils. On holidays, we stayed at my uncle's dairy farm. The bush, at the fence line, still a towering, magnificent presence. The clear, pebbled creek, tiny frogs jumping, the warm smells of milking time, the magpie's honeyed song. From an early age, I determined to marry a farmer. Romantic? Yes. Those of you who have lived or do live on the land or in rural communities know the hard facts far better than I. But all of us can recall moments when our childhood hearts were opened. I didn't marry a farmer and found myself eventually working in a major cancer hospital in the Ministry of Pastoral Care. And I understood, as a member of the Uniting Church, that I was called by the love of God and called to love in response. To love God, to love each other, and to love the world. But where is earth? What of my love for earth? As the environmental crisis deepened, I felt called to resign from my position in the cancer hospital. People were suffering, but earth too was suffering, and I had many questions. But where to start? We might, I believe, turn to the book of Job for guidance, and I'm grateful to the writing of Bill McKibben here. Were you there when I planned the earth? Were you there when I stopped the waters as they issued gushing from the womb? When I wrapped the ocean in clouds and swaddled the sea in shadows? When I closed it in with barriers and set its boundaries, saying, "Here you may come, but no further. Here shall your proud waves break." God's reply to Job is wonderful poetry, biologically accurate, earthy, juicy, crusty, wild, untamed. Job, we know, is struggling with the meaning of his immense suffering. He has lost everything. Great herds of livestock, his sons and his daughters, and now, too, covered with ulcers, his health. 3 friends arrive to comfort him, but insist on the truth that suffering is punishment for evil. For 34 chapters, the friends rehash tired theological arguments. Job himself is struggling with a new fact, one that simply does not fit their assumptions. He knows he is not an evil man, and he is thus locked in a battle with the orthodoxy of his time. Then, at long last, God speaks. He does not address Job's immediate problems, does not refer to his acute distress or to his anguished questions. In answer, he speaks only of a wild and glorious world, a world intoxicatingly alive, every being in place. The voice is fierce and the tone deeply sarcastic. Were you there when I planned the earth, when I wrapped the ocean in clouds, when I set the boundaries for the waves? Did you teach the vultures to soar, scanning for prey so his little ones may drink blood? In two great speeches, God presents Job with a picture of an astonishing world. But a world in which humans simply do not appear. What is happening here? One message is crystal clear. God is giving him new eyes, showing him that he is part, and only part, of an immense world. Humans are not the centre. Creation exists without us and before us. In the presence of this glory, Job is silent, as all generations since have been, until now. What of us? What is our response to the gauntlet that God throws down? Do you set the boundaries of the sea? Do you wrap the ocean in clouds? Do you plan the earth? And our answer is, well, we're giving it a damn good try. We no longer feel small, let alone smaller than God. We are changing the boundaries of the ocean, dismantling the barriers. Here you may come, and further, we say to the waves. Sea level rise as a result of global warming is all our doing. Unaided, we are changing the chemistry and physics of the planet. The very ice caps are melting unpredictably, disturbing the immense hydrological cycles that have been in place for millennia. The book of Job is exquisitely apt for our own time. We too urgently need to recognise that we are part of a greater whole. We too are struggling with a worn-out orthodoxy, ours being the self-evident assumption that continuous economic growth is good. We too have to deal with a new fact that simply will not fit the old paradigm. And that fact is that there is a limit. Earth is finite. We have assumed an endless resource. That is, we too have placed ourselves at the centre. Far from being silenced, we are actively engaged in a process of damaging, even destroying, God's creation. Mainstream Christian tradition has taught a profoundly human-centred reading of life. But there is another, thin tradition. God's answer to Job implies that he is to learn that he is part of a wild and beautiful world, but only a part. We too are called to find our place, in humility to repent, to live with respect, and to love the God who created the heavens and the earth, and to love the earth God made.